So getting back to what we were going over, whenever we're passing the guard, it's appropriate to have a game plan. And this can be an example, but also serve as kind of like a added tool. A lot of people use a position called headquarters, and a broad overview of what it is where basically one of your feet is in between your opponent's feet, and you're going to have knee control and collar control a lot of times. Now, as I've performed this position over the years, I've kind of added a few details, have had details cleaned up a little bit by various people, and then have been swept on my head. So a lot of this stuff for me is just has been sharpened over past few years. So entering the headquarters position first and foremost is a big deal, because your opponent doesn't want you to get rid of their feet. Their feet is essentially their first line of defense, and just grabbing the feet and throwing them over is good for a white belt entry class or MMA situation where we can just punch somebody in the face, but not good overall for grappling purposes. Now, how do we then enter a grappling situation while wearing the pajamas and not get swept? So first and foremost, I'm going to grab the with my left hand the foot. Now, not just on the foot and close to the ankle, because if she can pull her toes back, then she has better leverage than I do. She can go around. It's just not going to work for me. So I'm going to go close to the toes as I can. Now, more on this in a second. At the same time, I'm going to thumb down, grab the heel. Now, this is both good and bad for a couple of reasons. First and foremost, it's good because I'm putting something in between her foot and the area I don't want it. Because I want my foot to come right here. Okay? So when I do this, the only place she can go is out and around. And that can be an issue. But so as I do this, it all happens at one time. I clear and step, and notice as I enter, I'm also taking the opportunity to push the foot towards the center line. Now, as I stepped in, pushing this to the center line allows me the ability to just come right in unimpeded. If I were to try to do this one at a time, like I'm going to push this down, well, she's not going to let me do that, right? She's going to fight this, and then I'm trying to do this, and now everything's happening. So we have to get, if we drill anything, we have to get proficient with entering the headquarters position. Now notice my hand, as I enter, my thumb is down, it can go right to the collar, and I essentially chamber the hand, the arm, into my hip. This other hand will go to the knee, and I'm causing her spine now to be unaligned. Here it's aligned, here she's strong. Her feet are in the way, and her spine being aligned with her feet in the way can cause problems. The feet are out of the way. By stepping in and causing her knees to be slightly over to the side, her spine now is just turned enough. Now, getting to this position can be hard, but their reaction a lot of times is what we're looking for. Now, the biggest thing, turns over, well, another way. The biggest thing that I see is people don't step deep enough. Notice I'm not stepping in front of the hips or in front of the butt. I want to go as deep as I can towards the belt. Why? As my knee bends now, I'm able to put more pressure on the knee. What does this do? If I have any more in front of her, it's very easy to put the De La Hiva hook in. And now it's causing a lot of issues for me and trying to come straight and turn and dictate where my center line goes as opposed to where her center line goes. So as we enter, my knees being together allow me a certain sense of control over this. Now, I'm leaning forward. I need to stop it. So as soon as I make my grips, I pull back and push my knees forward. Pushing my knees forward, at this point, it allows me to kind of relax. I mean, obviously I'm sitting more down on my butt, but notice she's crunched. So if I'm being active, we're here, right? Which is what most people want to do. By kicking back the foot, we're able to perform what? The X pass. A time-honored tradition of just kicking the leg out, pushing the legs across, replacing my posted foot, and then now posting it out. From here, we can threaten the back, we can threaten side mount, threaten knee to belly, and then a mount attempt. Even if they want to push to prevent it, potentially even a submission attempt with the arm bar. All because we stayed active on our feet, looking for the best opportunity while threatening the hip. Now, why are we threatening the hip? Because if you notice, I'm pulling her towards me and pushing her hips that way. Her spine now, because we're turning the body, allow us to unalign the spine. This is a big concept we'll see throughout a lot of techniques. Even some techniques you're probably doing now. This will allow you to be stronger in a position with somebody that's just larger than yourself. Let's turn this a little bit. Same thing, we're here. What happens if the feet are higher? This is the issue. If the feet are higher, feet are lower. What's the do's and don'ts? Because the feet have to be low enough I can grab the foot, but high enough to where, because if it's too low, the knees are here. We would just grab the knees and bullfight pass the Toriando from here. So how do we perform this in a sensible way? If I feel the feet are too high or I'm entering the position, I don't want my opponent to be able to sit up, because if I'm getting closer and she goes to sit up, her feet come lower, this means she's being more aggressive. So come back down, and we'll talk more about that. But I'm coming palms up, under the heels, and even palms towards my opponent. Why? I'm really just trying to threaten this. Will my opponent let me do this? No. If they just stay still, we can do little things here and there to create hip movement, to create angles for us. But as we lift, she's probably not going to like that. So we're able to come right in to our technique for the transition, gaining control. Well, again, look at this. My weight isn't here. See my foot's like? It's here. Enough to expand, replace the foot, and come out. Now, it's going to be a matter of what do I want to do? What does she let me do? Now, your game might be a little different than mine, so I don't want to be like off after the X pass, go to side mount. It's not my intent. I want you to do what you do after your pass, and let you evolve from there. Turn this way for me. So, responses. So, even though I'm trying to enter a position of control, like the headquarters, if she does nothing, we go X pass. But as we enter, more than likely something is going to happen. We enter the position, and what's probably the first reaction of any trained jiu-jitsu player will be to hip out. Why? Her shoulder to knee is now aligned. Can you go back, please? And that alignment's a big deal, because I just said entering this position allows me to unalign the spine. Now, as soon as I feel her start to hip out in this transition, now we're able to what? By turning our hips and making our knee come out, look what I just did. I'm able to threaten the shoulder, whether I have the collar or we're able to go for the underhook. Doesn't really matter. The intent will be coming through, and look what I just did. I created alignment in the spine again by going for the knee slice. Now, everybody does their knee slice a little differently, and I'll show my details later in another video. But for right now, just talking about the opportunity and the intent behind what we're doing to create that opportunity is what we want to learn right now. So again, we're here, whether I was trying to lift the feet up, threaten it, the feet came back down. If she brought the feet down too much, we're able to maybe start looking for a bullfighting situation. But then again, maybe she was conservative and allowed for this. We came right for the headquarters. I'm looking for my X-pass and control. In that transition, she goes to hip out. Now look, because my knees are so tight together, you'll feel this. She's bringing my knee forward, and it makes me want to align this way. Okay, and that's my trigger. That's the feeling I'm looking for. So again, we're here looking for the headquarters, and there it is. Okay, I'm pulling, just so we're aware, up on the same grip I had on the knee to give myself counter pressure with the inside knee. And in my opinion, with any good knee slice position, I'm now coming through, looking for my pass. Okay. Again, the details are a little different with other variations, but I think you really want to have a strong commitment to this direction. Okay. And just kind of a problem solve really quick. What's the biggest issue you're going to have? Come right here. On that transition, we're here again. Maybe I'm lifting the heels up to bring them back down. There it is. 1, 2. We stepped in all at one time, not 1, then 2, then 3. No. It's just we lift. I felt we're entering position. As I feel her hip out, back down to the center a little bit. As I feel her hip out, if this knee wasn't close, it might not feel safe because I'm too stretched out when to hip out. Now I'm coming in, and this knee now isn't on the floor. Now that this knee is up, maybe she has enough strength and leverage to make her head go this way. She can start to create a different angle. So come back. So what's happening? The big thing is, once I came in, hip out prematurely please, I was too slow. Her knee now, everything is strong, aligned, and now, instead of coming in under here to turn, my foot's still back here. No problem, we'll talk about that later. But the biggest answer will be having a game plan and having essentially your playbook fill in those gaps. If we're rolling and my opponent starts to react in a certain way, your playbook's a big deal. Just watch football. Two teams line up on a line. They have multiple options. Are they going to run it? Are they going to throw it? They have answers for different situations. And both sides have very potentially extensive playbook. So jiu-jitsu is no different. Even though it's one person versus one person instead of a team, I mean, the hips can go left, right, my distance can be off, my height can be off. There's so many angles and problems that if I don't have an answer and make my fundamentals as tight as possible, I can't keep up. Now, what happens here if I'm like, cool, I have my answer. I'm bringing the feet up. She didn't move. I'll move. There we go. Cool. I have little tricks we can do in order to pass the guard, or at least threaten the guard pass. You overcommit. We have the answer, right? Going for the headquarters. We have the answer for this. What happens if in the transition, she does some ninja shit and just pretty much brings her feet up, and I have no answer for any of this in this forward progression. What do? Well, I get swept. Well, that's not acceptable. So it's okay in these instances to break grips, unalign ourselves, come back to the starting position of looking for the headquarters. Okay, so if I were, let's say, she overcommitted, I brought her down, and maybe I brought my knee down to the hips. And because I'm smashing the hips in this situation, you know, I feel like I can pass this way, maybe bring it back around this way once I'm able to climb up the body. But if I experience a reaction, can you post up to your left hand and frame in my neck? Right? This reaction, let's say I've never seen this before. She's giving me maybe a no-gi answer to something, and I don't know how to come around. It's perfectly acceptable to regain a neutral, somewhat position and then start to attack again back to what I'm familiar with, okay? So at no point from the offensive stance am I under some kind of obligation to play her game. We can back out once I feel uncomfortable and go back to plan A. Let's threaten her again. Maybe she'll react differently. Maybe I can react a little faster because now I know what she's doing. Okay? And again, we'll talk about the technical side to the positions in a later video. But for right now, just this using the intent to get to this focus position called headquarters is a big deal. Okay? And as an example, if you don't employ this kind of position, well, do you employ, come here a little closer, do you, if you use, let's say, a leg drag position, if you're familiar with leg drag, well, this is just a focused position. It's all a guard pass, but now I'm focusing on just this sub position, right? So now I have another page in the playbook, another series of techniques to talk about. So, but again, just adding that extra tool can be a big benefit.